When you understand that all of your setbacks, all of your trials, all of your fights, they are the formative pieces and pillars of who you're meant to be.
Mhm.
You realize like, okay, give me another. Like I know it's tough, but I know I'm going to get through this too. And I know this is for my benefit.
This is the Pursuit of Wellness podcast, and I'm your host, Mari Llewellyn. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Pursuit of Wellness podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Kendall Toole. You may remember her from Peloton. You guys may have taken rides with her, but now she's on her own journey and she sat down with me today to tell us all about it. Kendall is such a warm, energetic person. She brought so much light into the studio and we really dove deep on her journey to where she is now and what she plans on doing next. We explore her fitness journey from her start as a child actor and becoming a Peloton instructor. We also dive into her experience with OCD, which I found really interesting and could relate to a lot. The challenges of drinking culture in college, how she's navigated negative self-talk, and she also opens up about facing imposter syndrome, which for someone who appears to be so confident and energetic, I think it's nice to hear the behind the scenes of everyone facing imposter syndrome. She also dives really deep on a personal mental health journey she went through, which I really appreciated her vulnerability. And I know so many of you are going to relate in so many ways. Her story is one of resilience, transformation, and redefining wellness. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. I think you guys are going to feel really empowered and motivated after this chat with Kendall. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Kendall, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Your energy's so good.
Oh, thank you. Ditto. We walked in and immediately met and I'm like, oh, I love her.
I was like,
You're like, yes.
You're cute. I like you. You are an inspiration to so many. I have mentioned that you're coming on the show to a few people, Fee included, her mom included, and everyone's like, oh my God, I love Kendall.
Oh.
Like you have had such a big impact on people. It's really incredible. You're everyone's favorite Peloton instructor. You're very motivational. I've been watching your clips on TikTok and I'm fired up from it, even though I've never done Peloton in my life. You're also a mental health advocate. You're a podcast host. I'm so excited. I feel like you and I have a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
Especially with mental health. So we're going to get there. I'd love to start all the way at the beginning. How did you find fitness? Like, how did you get here?
Yeah. So I think what's fun, first off, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's very rare that you meet, I think, women in fitness and women who are entrepreneurs. And I hate to say this about the wellness community, but unfortunately, it's very unwell a lot of the time. Like
Mood.
Yeah, right? You're like, You're like, oh, we front this, but we feel this.
Yes.
Okay, noted. But it's so nice when you're around another woman who is so supportive and so positive and you just feel that good energy. We talked briefly about both living in LA for a little bit where it's a very transactional environment oftentimes. And so it's just very refreshing. Whenever I can be and sit with a woman that I'm like, oh,
I know.
I feel safe. She gets it. We get each other. There's support there.
We need a club.
Great. Yes.
Like we need a club. Like Callie should be in the club.
Yes, Callie's totally in the club.
Yeah.
Melissa Wood should be in the club. She has been the nicest woman to me. I have not met her. I'm going to be on her podcast soon.
Is she not an angel?
I am floored. Because for somebody, again, another woman who's super successful in wellness and fitness, usually by leaving and moving on from Peloton, starting a new chapter, unfortunately, other one will be like, ooh, competition, here they come. Absolutely not. She has been writing me messages of positivity. Like, I'm just so proud of you. I can't wait to see what you do. If I can help in any way. I want to just like literally hug her.
And you're going on her show?
Yeah, I can't wait.
When I met her in person, I wasn't sure what to expect because I had the same I was like, she seems amazing.
Yeah.
Walked in the room, like I swear there was like a breeze in her hair and her smile. And I was like, oh my God, she's a living angel.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
Just ding.
Makes you feel so warm and welcome and just, I want to be her when I'm older.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think that's what's beautiful is like when you can get, I'm right there with you. We need to build a club and be like, yes, verified, good vibes, nice women, support each other. It does exist. It's out there.
It's out there. It's out there, but it's hard to find.
It is. So starting with the fitness journey.
Yeah.
Fitness was kind of always a part of my life, but it was an escape for me. So in college, when my mental health was going really down the tubes, granted, I had grown up, I was diagnosed with OCD when I was 11. So I had already had kind of some touch points and trigger points, going to therapy, working through that. In college, I think was a culmination of so much. I was a kid actor and I thought my career was going to take off.
I didn't know that.
I don't really talk about it that much.
Wait.
A total failed kid actor. And I like saying failed because I think that's important because everything I thought, the shows I thought I was gonna be on, I grew up around the Nickelodeon and Disney kids.
Mm.
In hindsight, thank God, because some of those sets, what I'm finding out now, it breaks my heart to
Dodged a bullet.
completely dodge a
Yeah.
bullet. And I fell in love with storytelling. I fell in love with seeing I got to experience the industry and kind of be outside the fishbowl because I
Mm.
never really made it in there. And it
Yeah.
was such a wonderful distance to be at
Mm.
because I could learn the pitfalls. I could keep enough space, but I could fall in love with storytelling because I knew I loved that so much. So, anyway, in college, thought the acting career was going to go, was in a project. It was supposed to be at Sundance. It was at Berlin. And then it all kind of went haywire. And I had this identity crisis going on where I thought, oh man, all these things I've worked for my whole life, I'm not living up to. Meanwhile, I'm at USC. I'm in the film program. I'm a cheerleader. Like, I was like, woohoo. From the exterior, I looked like everything was great.
Yeah.
And interior, the color was draining out of the day. I just wasn't living. I was living for the mask of what the world wanted to perceive me as and what I felt like I had to perform as. And so fitness was, I remember working out at the gym where I lived, and I would just go down there for like an hour and I'd put in music and I'd just go on the treadmill, or then I'd go and I'd watch YouTube videos, like the early days of like Kayla and the Tone It Up girls and all that. I was like,
Yep.
they were blogalotties, like Cassie Ho, all of them were my angels. And I was just like, listen to what they would do. And I started falling in love with fitness. And then I had a mentor who's a film director who I met in one of my film classes. And he's like, you have a lot going on. And I'm like, that's one way of putting it. Yeah. I was like, oh, you sense my intensity and my anxiety.
The chaos.
Awesome. The full tornado that is myself and still there. And he's like, come to my boxing gym. So he owned a boxing gym in Santa Monica. And I would go. I was petrified. And then sure enough, I got on the mitts for the first time. And the second that glove hit that mitt and it cracked and it just sounded literally like a lightning strike. It was just like in my veins. It was beautiful. I was like, oh, I have power.
Mm.
Like I have personal power. I need to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So that led to boxing. And I'm going to speed up through this. Had my mental health moment my senior year that I've talked about. Really dark night, awful. Got through that, went into therapy, worked for a very well-known social media platform right out of college. Not the best work environment, a little toxic.
Okay.
And fitness was my escape. So I would start posting my like working out in the gym, start videotaping myself. And then I built an Instagram kind of around it, started working for Rumble Boxing and was one of their founding trainers. Yep. And then Peloton slid into my DMs. And that was 5.5 years ago. And I got the job and moved, and then life changed.
Your life completely changed.
Yeah, completely changed.
If you don't mind, I want to touch on the OCD piece.
Yeah, let's go.
So I've shared this with my audience, but I have a very obsessive personality, and I was recently diagnosed with OCD.
Really?
Not in the way, so I heard you talking about yours, and I think you mentioned counting steps. You didn't want to be barefoot, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so mine's a bit more about decision making, and it's kind of layered. Do you still struggle with OCD, or was it more so when you were a child?
It evolves. Is what I can say. And I think that's what's interesting when women are talking about mental health and how we're getting diagnosed at different times in our journeys, because traditionally women are really good at fronting. We know how to mask. We know how to kind of manipulate ourselves depending on the space to fit what we know the world wants us to be.
Yeah.
So with mental health diagnoses, it can be really tough and difficult to get diagnosed at the proper timing. So with OCD for me, it started and it manifested as overthinking, not being able to get out of these thought spirals. And then it would be rituals so that I could feel like I could control things. So I hated being barefoot as a kid. I had to wear socks everywhere. I had a certain bedtime routine. Bless my mom. She had to like mummify me into my bed is what we called it. I had to be like swaddled. It was a whole thing. And then now as an adult, I find my challenge with OCD, it's more of the thought patterns.
Yeah.
It's more getting stuck in a rut and overthinking something and trying to mitigate risk. And what if this, then that, then this, then that. And then it also can come up in negative thought spirals where I can get very short fused. So when I have too much stimulus or too much stimuli and I'm thinking of all of the outcomes, then it's like I snap, or I'm like, ugh, like bless, my boyfriend's in the corner and he's seen it a few times, like when traveling and with stressing and when you get overwhelmed by things.
I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
Like I really relate to that a lot. And it's amazing that you're talking about it, honestly, because I don't think I hear other people discuss it. And I also agree with you. As women, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder in college.
Wow.
And similar to you, I think college is a really tough environment.
Yes.
I don't think people talk enough about the drinking culture. Was that a big thing for you?
Yes, and it was so interesting because I really didn't drink until college.
Same.
And I always struggled to fit this mold of, okay, I went to USC. It's like total tailgate school. You go out, I was in a sorority for all of a year. I wasn't a good sorority sister. I'm sorry to everybody I dropped. I dropped after a year. It was not you. It was me. I totally own that.
They're listening like, where'd you go?
They're like, what happened to you? But I still have two of my best girlfriends from the sorority. So it all worked out great. But I really struggled, with the drinking culture, with pre-gaming before you go somewhere, throwing back shots. And when you're anxious, I'm sorry, you have tummy issues. Like there's no two ways about it. And alcohol is the worst thing. It kills your good gut bacteria. So your gut microbiome is totally off. I know, obviously, you know this very well with Bloom and everything you've created. And it just, the drinking culture, I think, really added a layer of instability to my life, particularly in college.
Yeah, I feel like none of us knew how to drink properly. I mean, I was blacking out all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
AMFs. Did you ever have one of those?
What's AMF?
Oh, God. I will never. It was a USC staple. It is a drink that is blue. Okay?
Oh, no. Okay, I know what you mean.
Blue.
What does AMF stand for?
Okay. Can I cuss?
Yeah, please.
Okay, perfect. It stands for adios, motherfucker.
I was going to guess like os something. I don't know.
Yeah. So it was adios, motherfucker, because you were going to be blacked out by the time you even got 3 sips into it. It was terrible. I think it had gin, rum. It was like you mixed alcohol in the drink. I don't know how it's legal.
I want to throw up.
It's disgusting. Like I was in college at the era of Four Loko.
Yes,
and it
same.
was like, oh,
they taste like feet.
Yes,
they taste like feet.
And then but still everyone was pounding them. And it was like such a normal thing to do.
I know.
And then it was also scary because then you realize like these situations that you and your girlfriends can get in, and then the guilt and shame monster that comes up the next day.
That was the worst thing.
Yes.
Especially, I think, if you have an obsessive personality, it's like, what did I do? What did I do?
Why am I? And then it turns into, why am I a terrible human? I don't deserve this. And it roots these really, really dark negative thoughts into your person where you start believing it. You believe that you're not of value. You believe that you are filled with shame and you don't deserve to have nice things or to build the life that you want.
Yeah.
Giving yourself grace becomes very difficult. And I think alcohol is it's kind of like a chutes and ladders. It's kind of like a speed warp into feeling terrible about yourself.
I recently did a full overhaul of my daily products. When I was starting to really focus on fertility and hormone health, I realized that there are so many products in our everyday life that have toxins in them. And I think one product we tend to skip over is our toothpaste. We swallow 5 to 7% of our toothpaste every single time we brush, which is an entire blob every 7 days. Most commercial toothpastes are filled with harsh chemicals, artificial flavors, and preservatives, not things you want to be putting in your mouth, let alone eating. And I recently switched to Bite. They make dry toothpaste tablets made with clean ingredients that are sulfate-free, palm oil-free, and glycerin-free. They're also so convenient. I love traveling with them. You just pop a bit in your mouth, chew it up, start brushing, and it will turn into the paste you're used to with no plastic tube or messy paste. It's so easy to use. And they also come in these really cute refillable glass jars. They send refills in compostable pouches, so they're better for our bodies and the earth, which means no more plastic tubes. Bite is offering our listeners 20% off your first order. Go to trybite.com/POW or use code POW at checkout to claim this deal. That's trybite.com/POW. You guys know I drink a ton of water every day, but it's so important to think about the quality of the water we're drinking, and that's why I use AquaTrue. Having safe, clean water is the last thing you want to worry about, but unfortunately, according to extensive research by the Environmental Working Group, 3 out of 4 homes in America have harmful contaminants in its tap water. I want to make sure I'm safe and healthy, my pets are safe and healthy. AquaTrue is the best system to use. It has a 4-stage reverse osmosis purification process, and their countertop purifiers work with no installation or plumbing. It removes 15 times more contaminants than the ordinary pitcher filters that are specifically designed to combat chemicals like PFAs in your water supply. PFAs are found in 45% of US tap water, and I'm so grateful that AquaTrue is certified to remove these contaminants. They have water purifiers to fit every home. Greg and I have the under the sink option, which is so nice. We don't even have to think about it. And I know that my pets and my husband are getting clean water. Best of all, the water tastes fantastic and you don't have to worry about PFAs or other harmful contaminants. PFAs over time can lead to adverse health effects like cancer, endocrine system disruption, liver toxicity, and this is why I'm so glad AquaTrue removes PFAs. AquaTrue comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee and even makes a great gift. Today, my listeners receive 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier. Just go to aquatrue.com/POW. That's AQUATRU.com/POW and automatically receive 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier. That's 20% off any AquaTrue water purifier when you go to aquatrue.com/POW. So well said. I really look back and I'm like, I know I was struggling with a mental illness, but was I making it 10 times worse? You know? And I think for anyone listening who maybe is in college, just to think about that. I really wonder if the drinking culture is different now.
I've heard that. So I
Really?
heard the sober curious movement is huge, particularly with college kids.
Wow.
And I love Gen Z for this because I think they've seen the byproducts of alcohol. I
Mhm.
think we kind of sit in this in-between era where drinking was such the norm and that's what everybody did and you did it underage and that was, you go and party. And I wonder if it's partly COVID and being under lockdown. I wonder if it's just also, Gen Z has this level of awareness and this
Yeah.
this kind of self-possessed energy that I admire so much. And if it's not good for them in their life, they're not going to do it. They don't opt into anything they don't want to do. Which I'm
Period.
like, gosh, I wish I was that bold when I was 20. That would have saved me so many annoying conversations, but good on y'all that you're doing it.
Oh no, I did whatever anyone told me to do when I was that age, for sure.
Oh, yes, please. Of course. Yes, sure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Interning? Oh my God. Interning like in the film industry?
I was shaking in my internships, shaking.
And then crying in the bathroom.
I know. Same.
It was so traumatic. It was
they
formative.
Also, they talk about mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but in college, I did not talk about mental health issues.
Yep. Well, I hid actually. So that really dark night that I had in college where I was moments away from completely, and I don't mean to talk about this so casually, but I think I've discussed it so much. And ironically, it'll be 9 years in November since that night.
Wow. No, please talk about it.
Yeah.
I get pretty dark on here, so you can go
great.
wherever you need to
I'm
go.
the same way. I don't know how to have a shallow conversation. I feel like I talk with, even
Go
in the
for
Uber
it.
on the way here, I'm like, oh, tell me about this. What's going on? Oh, this is your business. How are you building it? Like fully in everyone's business. But yeah, so it was leading up. It was my senior year of college. I think there was this identity and this time clock. And I think if anyone's listening that's in college, the one thing I would implore is that you don't have to have it all figured out.
Mhm.
And it's all going to change in a wonderful way as you get deeper into your 20s and you graduate, that you don't have to have the plan set. And I was so worried about graduating and not having completed this identity of who I was supposed to be by the time I graduated USC.
Mm.
And I was coming to terms with the fact that what I wanted to build for myself just wasn't going to happen the way that I planned.
Yeah.
Beautiful now looking back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that it didn't happen to the way that I wanted it to, because now I have something to say. Like, I can have a platform and I can talk about mental health, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I should be pouring into people. Otherwise, it's pointless. But that night in November, it was just leading up. The color was completely gone. I just felt numb.
Yeah.
And I think back to her and to that girl who still is in me, and I realized I feel so sad for her because there was all this beauty around her, but at that point I couldn't accept it. I think I didn't feel worthy of it. I think there was a lot of shame and insecurity that was there too, because I knew how good I had it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't enjoy it.
Mm.
And I just felt like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my programming that this is how I feel, or I feel nothing. And so, yeah, I spoke to my mom a few hours earlier. I lived at this really beautiful apartment complex very close to USC. And I would often go up on the roof and just kind of reflect and get away from my roommates. I had a roommate who was not very clean, so that didn't help either. Girls and hair, you guys, girls and hair. It's disgusting. And yeah, so that night went up onto the rooftop and I think I got to a place where I just was thinking, I'm tired of feeling nothing. And had my phone on silent. There was like a guard gate, like kind of this gate around the edge, and climbed over that and thought about it, had this out of body experience. And I can't even describe it as anything other than that. It was the most color I'd felt ever in like probably the last 3 years. And it was kind of like Christmas caroling into my future of like what would happen, what would become of my parents, of my brother, all of that. And sure enough, the second I had that, it kind of took my breath away. And I look and I see from the corner of my eye, my phone's lit up. And I look over and then it lights up again. And I'm like, what? Ugh, like kind of annoyed. I'm like, what's going on? Climb back over the fence, look at my phone. My mom was calling me. She called me 15, I think almost 16 times. And I picked up on that last ring. She just knew. Like, talk about maternal instinct. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
And I hadn't talked to her for hours. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was just like, can you come pick me up? And I did not share how close I was in that moment with my parents for probably 3 years because I had so much shame about it.
Yeah.
You know, and you have shame. I think a lot of us have periods of life where suicidal ideation is a part of it. And the more I've talked about the story very publicly, the more people will, you know, send a DM or I'll meet in person if I'm lucky to meet them in person and we'll share this. And I'm always so floored by the fact so many of us have this either season or a long season and we don't talk about it. And we all are like kind of scared and we shake when we discuss that we thought about this doing something to ourselves that we're not proud of.
Yeah.
But there's such a freedom and understanding that getting through that, it's such a win. And being able to speak about it, that's how you heal it. I really think the only way through it is to walk and talk about it when you're ready.
Yeah.
And understand like that vulnerability is such a superpower because then everything else unlocks. It's like all the pressure gets like released out of the pressure cooker.
And it can become your
you went
purpose
there
in
too.
life too.
It does, yeah. Because there's so many of us, especially after COVID. Like I feel so much for any kid that was in school or in any formative growth time or brain development time when you're in high school or college or whatnot, because you felt so isolated.
Yeah.
And then all you have is the vocal track in your own head feeding you the same things. There's no other external stimuli to pull you out of it. So of course you're going to have negative thoughts about yourself. Of course things are going to feel dark and empty. And finding a way through that and understanding you're not alone in that, I think is so important.
I applaud you for sharing that story. I know you've shared it a bunch, but I think sharing it again and again and again is so important because I do think it's a really scary thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And just hearing it from someone like you who is so bubbly and outgoing and kind of known for your big personality. And you're also known for serving others. Like you're known for lifting other people up. So to hear that someone like you has gone through that is really powerful and honestly makes me feel more seen too. I know I had my super dark days and sharing those days I've gotten a little bit used to sharing it over and over again. And sometimes I'm like, do people even want to hear this anymore? But I do think it's so powerful and important. From that moment, getting to Peloton and kind of becoming this like household name, like very well known, how did you build your confidence to the point where you were able to do that?
Thank you for that question because no one has ever asked that.
Really?
No, which is really interesting. And I think there's this idea of when somebody reaches a point of success, I'm sure you get the same thing too. When people look at it and they give you your resume of all the wonderful things that you've done and have built and whatnot, there's this other story to it. There's the personal journey that a lot of people just don't consider. And it's not in a bad way. I don't think as a society we're taught to look at the journey of somebody. We look at the accomplishments and we think, oh, they just woke up one day and it happened.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, wouldn't it be damn nice? I would love it if that were the case, but it's not. And especially when you come from any type of dark mental health chapter or even just a darker chapter for your personal confidence, like building up to something where then you're on a platform and you have the success, but now you have the noise of a lot of people telling you who you are, who you aren't, what's good about you, what's terrible about you on a constant stream. It can be a lot. And I actually really struggled with feeling okay in the role at Peloton. And I'm actually very happy for that struggle. And here's why. Like I was going through the training process. Cody Rigsby slid into my DMs and said, hey, do you want to audition for Peloton? All I knew was I'm broke AF, like totally broke. I was living in Laurel Canyon in my friend's quote unquote basement. It was not a basement. Like it was probably 6 feet tall and I'm a nugget. So like I could fit in there. I had a hot plate, like a little plug-in stovetop. I had a microwave and I had a mini fridge. It was like a college dorm, but I loved that little nook. It was the best because I could get to work very quickly. I had like $800 to my name. And that was on a good day where I'm like, oh, okay, if I go to Trader Joe's, I can only spend $57 to $75. Maybe I'll get the nice stuff, whatever. So I was living like that. And I was proud of what I did. And I loved teaching people at Rumble. And I love the emotional connection. But I knew I needed to get back to New York. I just felt like I need to be in that place. I don't know why. I just need to go to New York. And so when this opportunity came through from Cody, I was like, I'm going to do everything in my power to try to figure it out. I have never taught a cycling class in my life at that point.
Wow.
I've taken 3. I might have fibbed a little bit and said, yeah, I've taught a couple classes.
Everyone fluffs the resume. Come on.
You know, if you're not fluffing your resume,
What are you doing?
what are you doing?
You don't really want it then.
No, exactly. If you're not like, plussing up a little bit, we all do it. It's fine. Like, you got to fake it till you become it.
You're like pro cycler, Tour de France.
Exactly. Don't Google it. But like now today I can make like an AI photo and just like, hi, AI, put me on a bike.
You on the bike.
Next to so-and-so. But yeah, so in the process of training so I got the job and I moved to New York, sight unseen, no money, no nothing.
Wait, can I ask one question?
Yeah, go.
What does the audition look like?
Oh my gosh. Okay, it was nerve-wracking.
Are you like on a bike yelling?
Yeah, you're in the studio with the 8 cameras teaching.
There's 8 cameras?
There's 8 cameras.
Why? To get every angle?
Let me tell you something. Yes. So if you're like on your period or bloated or whatnot, you just feel like, oh my gosh, if something goes wrong, if something leaks or like everyone's gonna know. Everyone's gonna know.
Yeah, like
every angle.
even going to the gym with your period is scary. Like 8 cameras?
8 cameras. And they all have little red lights. So you feel
have
like a cat with a
glam?
laser beam. We did our own makeup.
Okay.
Which if you go back, if y'all want to laugh, and I'm totally fine with it, laugh at my expense always. My first probably 6 months to a year of classes, my makeup was so janky. It was so bad. Someone told me a red lip pops on camera. I am not a red lip girl.
You did a red lip.
I did a red lip. And the red lip was also on the teeth.
But maybe that's the reason you you really stood out.
It was so hideous we couldn't not watch. No, I mean, maybe that could have been an angle, which is great. But I think that was a lot of it, right? So I was taking advice from a lot of people from how they thought I should show up for the platform. And what's incredible about Peloton was I got this job, but imposter syndrome was so true and so real for me. I didn't feel like I deserved it. I knew that I hadn't taught a cycling class before. I was at this company with all of these incredible instructors and larger than life personalities, and they have brands and brand deals and they're New Yorkers. And so it took quite some time. In fact, during the training process, a week before my premiere ride, Cody pulled me aside and he's like, hey, boo. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I'm going to be honest with you. I need you to get it together.
I don't know about you guys, but I am so looking forward to the fall weather. It's already getting colder here in Austin in the mornings, and I'm just so excited to be drinking hot drinks and wearing cozy sweaters, specifically the sweaters from Quince. They are known for their Mongolian cashmere sweaters from $50. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. That includes beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. They partner directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman. That passes the savings on to us. Plus, they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, and of course, premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. I am personally absolutely loving the Mongolian cashmere crew neck in the gray color. It is so chic. It can go over the shoulders. You can wear it on a colder day, and it just looks perfect. Get cozy in Quince's high quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/pow for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/pow to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/pow. I have had so many ups and downs in my skin journey. It's taken me a very long time to find a skincare brand I trust. And that's where ClearStem comes in. It is the first skincare line that combines all 3 categories: anti-acne, anti-aging, and clean, meaning free of hormone disruptors and pore clogging fillers. I feel like I can really trust this brand. I absolutely love the gentle cleanser. I love the lip balm. I love the body lotion. I use the hair care. It is like one of the only brands I truly trust to not break me out. Plus, I know that Danielle and Kaylee, the founders, have had acne themselves, so they really understand what ingredients need to be in there and what shouldn't be. Plus, they have an acne lab test on the website that helps thousands of people get to the root cause of their acne through comprehensive lab testing and lifestyle-based recommendations, which I think is such a key to solving any skin problem. Visit clearstemskincare.com and use code POW at checkout for 20% off your first purchase. Again, that's code POW, POW, for 20% off your first purchase at clearstemskincare.com.
He said, "You're kind of on the line right now. You know, we haven't loved everything in training. I know you're working really hard, but you need to snap out of it and snap into why we hired you. We hired you to be you. We didn't hire you to be anybody else. We hired you to be you. So go back to California for a couple days, spend time with your family, come back, and then make sure you're ready. We're gonna do like 2 run-throughs, 2 like dress rehearsals, and then it's your premiere ride. So you need to nail those dress rehearsals." So essentially, he was telling me, like, if I don't get it together, I'm not gonna have the job.
Kind of love the advice though of being you.
Yes, it was really lovely, and I think it was so kind how he told that to me because I think he could see how much I was struggling
Yeah.
and couldn't figure it out and just felt like I didn't belong, and something happened. I went to California. I was like, I'm sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of putting on a mask.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna go whatever, and the dress rehearsals went decent. My premiere ride, I don't know what happened. The lights came on. Thank God maybe for growing up in Los Angeles and growing up as an actor and then, like, as a kid, because I do know when the camera's on, you go. Like, that was a muscle that I had, and so camera was on, all the instructors were in the front row. It was nerve-wracking as hell, and I was like, "Let's just go." And that went really, really well. My Instagram immediately, like, went from I think I had, like, 60,000 people follow me in a day. Like, it overheated. My phone overheated from the notifications because I was a nut, and I didn't turn my notifications off because I didn't think that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming.
Wow.
Beautiful, overwhelming, and then the work began, and then it was just, like, keep trying to figure it out, and then COVID hit. We did not have I wasn't able to teach in studio because New York was completely shut down. I'm in a
Mm.
studio apartment. Every 3 minutes there was a siren because it was the epicenter of the pandemic in the US.
I was there too. I was in Brooklyn.
Were you
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, it was crazy. Did
It
you
was
clap out
nuts.
the window every day?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know, with the clap and the bells. And everyone would yell. And that was like the one time everybody had like a release.
It was
But
kind of cute.
It was. It was a
Yeah.
beautiful moment for New Yorkers to come together in that. But
Yeah.
then also you'd go to the bodega. And I remember one time I went around the corner just to get, I don't know, like almond milk or something. And bless, this man was in like a scuba suit,
No.
full scuba, like mask. He had like an air tank.
People got really wild in the city.
Yes.
Really, people were
Very
screaming
scared.
at each other. I got screamed at one point because I like took it off for 2 seconds.
Oh,
like,
I know. Or like, God forbid, I tried to run down the West Side Highway, like with enough space around me, but I'm like, I can't breathe with a mask on, but I had to get out.
Yeah.
So I took it down for 2 seconds. This woman, I will tell you, 10 years of pent-up rage was unleashed on me. And she's like, "How dare you're gonna murder, you murderer?" And I'm like,
No.
"I'm not murdering anybody. I'm just trying to breathe out
Yeah,
my nose."
I
It
know.
was rough.
The city was rough.
It was rough.
But didn't Peloton really blow up during COVID?
Yes. So that
Okay.
was the interesting duality of that. So for 3 months, I wasn't able to teach because I lived in a 400, 500 square foot place. Where are you going to put a camera for me to teach from home? There's no way. So I had 3 months just kind of like hunkering down, not leaving. I got a dog, thank God. So we did that together. And then I started teaching again. And I would say like about 3 weeks into teaching back at the studio, because we were considered whatever it was from the government that we were like an essential business.
Yeah.
Thank you, New York State, because I think that's why Peloton did as well as it did, because we were
Mhm.
able to go back and create content. And I remember I was sitting on this green couch that I got. So I love that you have green couches in here. It
We
makes
love
me
green
happy.
here.
Oh my gosh, love green. And the green couch that I had was the first thing I bought in New York. And I had it on a vision board 2 years before. And I was like, I just want like a green velvet couch. That's all I want. So the first thing I bought was that before I bought a bed. I slept on that for a couple weeks. And so I was sitting on the green couch and I just went on Instagram Live. And I don't know what it was, but I think I was tired of fronting. I knew I was getting feedback from the community like, "Oh, your life is so great. It's so this. You're the bubbly California girl." And I was like, "You know what, guys? I'm just gonna be honest. We're all at home. We're all dealing with this." I was like, "I have anxiety and depression. And here's a story." And I
Mm.
just started talking. And then people were like, "Wait, what?" And so I started really leaning into it because I was sick of hiding it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to ask work for permission. I don't know if they were necessarily the happiest about me just like up and talking about my mental health.
Mm.
But at that point, I was like, this is my story.
Yeah.
It's my truth. Like, I'm not going to not share that. And then that became the whole crux of everything.
Wow.
And then a year later, I really pushed to try to produce Mental Health Awareness Day content, and that worked. Those classes every year, they were always, every quarter, they were in my top three rides, most taken rides.
No.
It was unbelievable how many people took them.
In that type of class,
Yeah.
are you kind of like giving advice, motivating, uplifting? Is that, I've never done a Peloton class. Is that the vibe of it?
It's very different. So I'm really grateful that it worked and they said yes to this. So my whole thought process was I want it to be a physical representation of what the experience of going through a mental health battle is for that first one.
Yeah.
And I pride myself in the fact I never stop on the bike. Some instructors, which is totally fine, they like to stop and motivate. I need a motor. I have too much energy. I can't coach two people virtually and not feel what they're feeling in their bodies. If I'm going to ask you to do it, I'm going to do it. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to stop, this is the one time I'm going to stop. So I built up this really, really heavy hill, and I to the point it was impossible. And I was talking about how that's how going through a mental health battle and not taking care of yourself and not going and seeking help and keeping it inside. That's how that feels. Like you keep getting just barraged with more weight, with more resistance. And then I had everybody stop. And like, I get emotional even talking about it because it was that moment of like, okay, this is what you're doing, considering quitting.
Yeah.
And giving up on yourself.
Yeah.
And there was still so much more time left. And then the music turned, all that. This is where I thank God for going to film school and loving storytelling and building those narrative arcs. And yeah, it was just like my love letter to people who are going through anything, because I knew how much all of us were struggling. And finally I was like, wait, are we allowed to talk about it now? Like, we've all had this crazy life experience that is making us go internal and take stock of what we're going through. And that class did so incredibly well. And then that became programming for all the rest of the years, and it expanded with other instructors. It was awesome.
And is that, you think, a big reason why you became one of the most popular instructors? Because you kind of had this niche.
I think it was that and the honesty of it.
And people felt connected to you probably.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, where just being, the word is used so much now, but I really think being authentic and just like, this is me. This is what you're going to get. I'm some people's total cup of tea. Some people hate me, and I get it. It's fine. I
can't imagine why, but anyway.
It's fine. I mean, I'll send you. They do. They're very well versed and well versed on all the ways in which
people hate me too. It's fine.
Oh, I know. Isn't it funny? I'm like, I'm okay. You're like, you're welcome to. I'm not trying. I don't hate you. Yeah. I'd give you a hug probably if I saw you. So like, feel free. But yeah, I think it was that, and then also like just the playfulness. Like I was such like a weird little misfit kid. I loved my pop punk. I love my rock music. I started teaching metal rides because I'm like, why not? It'll be crazy. and yeah, I think it's that. And then also what helped, and thank you TikTok and virality, but people would have leaderboard names.
I watched all of them.
Oh my God. Aren't they great?
They're fantastic.
I got all the time.
I was cracked. One of my favorites though was when you were like telling them to put like focus on their glute muscles, and you're like, put it in the butt. And you're like, I literally like watched your face and you were like, fuck.
Yep. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And that was, it was like the first or second, I was so, again, hyped up on caffeine. I had like 2 cold brews because it was our first time having people back in studio. So I had been coaching to cameras and the voices in my head for like a year. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, people. So like, the ADD in me is like, oh my God, yay. And I think I was so overwhelmed with the energy in the room and just being excited to be back with people. Yeah. And then I said that, and then it went totally viral, to the point my poor brother went to work and he goes, oh, your sister's the booty girl.
Stop.
And he goes, oh my God, Kenny. He's like, Kenny, I'm so upset. And he's like so out of the public eye.
He's like, you ruined my life.
He's like, I love you, but I so hate you for that. And he goes, but wait, that is funny. It was the name of our family group chat for a little while.
No.
It was put it in the butt.
And what was the other name that kind of went viral? It was like saggy balls or something.
Oh, droopy balls?
Droopy balls. That was a good one.
Oh, Drew. Yeah, so it was written out, Drew, DREW _PEA _BAWLS.
Stop.
So Drew P balls. And I was like, oh, no. Yeah.
So mean. So mean.
Hey, Would You Blow Me was good too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yep.
I went on TikTok because I wanted to search you and like see.
Yeah.
First of all, your music choices are incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible.
Like, you take pride in that. Thank you.
I feel like you create like a cinematic experience, and then you're like motivating, and it's a whole thing. And as someone who, I lost a lot of weight, like I lost 90 pounds back in 2017. And I know back then I needed someone to yell at me. Yeah. Because getting in the gym was really hard for me. And I can imagine someone getting on their bike and needing like you kind of need someone to yell at you.
You need exactly, and I think there's something there's a difference between a coach and someone who's abusive. Like,
You're
there's
definitely not abusive.
yeah, no, I'm not well, take a metal ride, you'll think otherwise, which is fine. Some people really like that. They like the masochist kind of energy. So I'm like, "Okay, fine. I'll give that to you on occasion." But I think with a really good coach, it's I'm pushing you because I know you're capable.
Yeah.
I'm pushing you because I want you to know what you can do within yourself. And that was always the goal, right? Like, I want to help facilitate someone understanding their own power.
Yeah.
And I think, again, when we go through things in our lives where we essentially rendered ourselves powerless and we know what that feels like, and that girl will always be a part of us. I just always think back to her and I'm like, gosh, what could I have told her then? And then I see that and like I get emotional about it, but like I see it in other people.
Yeah.
And that's where I get really motivated. Like, okay, what I'm building, what I'm doing next, and like what I learned from Peloton, I'm so grateful for is if I can be a piece of someone understanding their own power, I believe that's my job. Like, I will cheer you on, I will hype you up, I will motivate you, but I just want you to see what I see in you and like what you're capable of. Because I think if people understood their value and if they understood just how powerful they were, we'd be so much better off as a society.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, when you're empowered, you don't shit on other people. You don't critique them or say hateful things. You really walk in that energy of, oh my gosh, I know my value and I see theirs and I want to create something special.
It's like you're talking to the old you
Yeah,
and everyone else. And
totally.
that's why having an experience like you had can really change everything. And it gives you such a different perspective. And I think it allows us to like really find true purpose in life. Like I think
Totally.
your pain is your purpose. I really do.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I think that's it too. When you're going through those times, it seems so dark and so unending, and that there's no, what's the move? Where do I go? Is it always going to be like this? And it's not. Like, everything passes.
Yeah.
The really good moments, the really fun stuff, that passes and you look back as a beautiful memory. The really difficult stuff, you look back and thank God, I think part of the human condition psychologically is like we don't remember just how intense it was.
Yeah.
I think there's like this little, they've done some studies on it, but we do kind of look back on everything with rose-colored glasses,
Yeah.
which I think is wonderful. And it's a great little like, genetic plus that I think we all have. But it is when you understand that all of your setbacks, all of your trials, all of your fights, they are the formative pieces and pillars of who you're meant to be. You realize like, okay, give me another. Like, I know it's tough, but I know I'm going to get through this too. And I know this is for my benefit.
Talk to us about leaving Peloton.
Yeah.
How did you come to that decision? Is it scary?
Yes, absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
A lot of it came down to there was an opportunity to renegotiate contracts. Myself and all my teammates my contract was running up, and there was a lot of thought process that went into it. Like, I deeply, deeply am grateful and love so much the community and the people I've gotten to spend so much time with over the last 5 years. But I think too, you can get to a point in your life and your career where you kind of outgrow that shell. You get to a point where like the shoes don't quite fit or the style is not quite for you anymore. And so much of what I feel called and impassioned to do was to lean even more into the mental health community, was to really, stand on business and put my money where my mouth was. Like, I can only reach so many people if they have a Peloton. I am bold and going to take a big swing and want to reach people far beyond that. So it's like, okay, at a certain point, I could stay with this really lovely, fantastic, comfortable job that pays me a wonderful amount, that is safe, or I could trust that this itch and this also discomfort, like New York is not my city. I respect it. It's a great city. I don't want to live there forever. I'm more chill. I need calm. My brain is New Yorky enough. Like, I need something to counteract it.
Yeah.
And I got to the point I'm like, I don't see myself staying in this spot. It was just, quite frankly, time for me to move on. And there were conversations that were had. I talked to them about, maybe doing less time and trying to find, I'm like, I'll take a pay cut, I'll do this. But, that wasn't exactly in line with what they wanted me to do. And I understand that. And so it just was time for me to say, you know what, if there's not a solution here that is making my heart feel excited and feels like it's in alignment with what I want to build in the world and what I feel called and compelled to do, then I have to trust that that means it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go step out on my own. And I'm not gonna, I didn't take a severance. Like, it was literally like, great, we're done. I don't know where my next paycheck is gonna come from, but I'm gonna bet on me
Yeah.
and I'm gonna build it. And I'm really excited. And even just 2 months, like the freedom with which I can move and the things that I can start to build and the conversations that I'm having and what I'm working on that'll launch next year, like it's eye-opening and beautiful.
I think it's a really good example for people too, because I think there
Mhm.
is this kind of fear around the word quitting,
Yeah.
but there is a time where quitting is healthy and
Yeah.
necessary. Or I wouldn't even call it quitting. It was just
Mhm.
like it's evolving and growing.
Exactly.
And I do think sometimes with the internet, especially if you're the content creator, there's this fear
Yeah.
around leaving your brand or like,
Yes.
you know,
Or like, does my value go down? And I've had these thoughts. Like the second I left, I was like, is my social media gonna go down? Like, are people gonna be like, oh my God, no, I only liked you as this? And I'll be honest, like confirmation bias is real. If you have that fearful thought, you're gonna get a DM or someone's gonna be in your comments. And they're gonna say exactly that.
yeah.
But then at the same time, I got so many messages of people being like, wherever you go, we're gonna follow, we're gonna support, we're gonna lean into it because we know what you stand on and we're excited to see where you can take that further.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, if I'm going to go into this realm of being really honest and really open and really authentic, and that's I know what works, and I also know and I believe that's what I'm supposed to do,
Mm,
why would I not do it now? And
yeah.
why would I not triple double down on everything that I'd already learned in the process while being at Peloton?
I think you're capitalizing on what you've learned and everything, how
Yep.
you've grown. And when I watch you, I see someone with such a fantastic personality, so much to share and say. Like, you should go do your own thing
Yeah.
in my
Thanks,
head.
girl.
I mean,
Yeah.
no shade, Peloton. I hope you're not listening,
No,
but
no, no. I'm sure they are. Um, I will bet they probably are. And all good and well, guys. Everything's positive,
we
as we
love
know.
you.
We love you. No, no hate. All's good. But heart, heart, heart. But I think that, and I have to say too, like I so look up to women like yourself, and I see
Thank
people
you.
who have bet on them and bet on your own business and knew that, okay, someone can put me in this bucket and in this. I think people like to do that with women in particular, especially in the fitness and wellness industry.
Yeah.
It's like stay in your lane. Keep
Mm-hmm.
it in the gym, keep it on the bike. And they like love to chirp these little really contained
Yeah.
statements
Yeah.
that are like, I like you when I can put you where I want you. And it's like, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? I am a woman. I am a human being and I have multiple sides to who I am. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't get to determine that for me.
Yes.
No one gets to determine that for me but me, and you determine that for you. So when I see what you've built and then building this incredible brand that I'm like, oh my God, there's like a movement behind it. And it's getting people excited about taking care of their bodies and understanding what they need for their gut microbiome and wanting to fuel their life in a really positive and empowering way. And then it's also community. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, okay, she did it. Why could I think I'm not I couldn't do it? Of course I
Dude,
can
you
do it
got
too.
this. It's
But
going
that's
to be
just
so cool.
beautiful.
It's going to
And
be so
so
cool.
thank you. But I think that thank you for that because we need to see these stories. And I thought it was so cool how, you know, I've bought into Bloom because I was like, oh, I know everything you're doing. I've watched you build this company.
Thank
Like
you.
I've seen that. And so it's like watching, you're just cheering on your friend. And I'm like, I didn't know you until we got to do this. I'm like, oh my God, wait, I'm so excited. Yay, new friend. But
Thank
that's
you.
just, it's really great. And I think we're at a space in the world finally, and I'm really stoked about this, where we can watch women build these incredible brands and businesses, and we are going to be supportive.
I
It's
know.
not, oh, how dare she? What, oh, she thinks she can? Yeah, she can. Yeah, she
Yeah.
does think she can, and she's doing it. So next.
I heard a stat the other day that I think there's more new female entrepreneurs than male,
Would not be surprised at all.
and we're kind of crushing.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're making more money than the men.
Not surprised. I think there's also more women going and getting a higher degree
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah.
I think it was like 60-40 was the split recently in the US.
Stop.
Yeah, pretty wild.
I think 98% of my listeners are women, so we're in
Great.
we're
Hey,
in
girls.
safe territory.
Hey, ladies. And to the 2% gentlemen, what's up?
We're so sorry.
But we appreciate your listening. That's
Yeah, we
awesome.
hope you're crushing too.
Yeah.
Like just slightly less though.
Yeah. Just a hair. Just 2% less.
No, but I think community is the core of building brand, building anything, and you have that. And you have such a like mission and story. I can't wait to see what you do, truly.
Oh, thank you.
It's going to be incredible.
There's some fitness, there's some consumer product, and then I'm really excited too. I'll be talking about this soon, but I'm finishing up on a mental health fund.
Oh, I love that.
So really everything that I build or do or speaking engagements or merch or anything like that, a portion will go towards this fund.
Oh,
And then we'll allocate those funds out to nonprofits who are doing boots on the ground work in all
Love.
different facets of mental health. And then the goal is within the next 2 years to start a scholarship as well.
Wow. Okay, you got to share that with me because
I will.
I'll
Yeah.
share it with the audience
Oh,
too.
thank you so
That's
much.
amazing.
Yeah.
I know you have a little breathing exercise you like.
I do.
Is it the Huberman one?
Yes.
The breathing.
Yep,
Okay. Can you tell us what it is?
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Dr. Huberman. Learned so much from you. Literally was like,
Slay.
Slay also was like, oh, I should never drink alcohol because of that alcohol episode.
Yeah.
Literally, I was like, oh my gosh, the gray matter in my brain is shrinking if I drink. Yeah, it's fantastic.
I think that was like a huge reason for the Sober Curious movement.
I think so too. I really do think he's been a big part of that awareness because it was, again, when you science back these conversations.
Yeah.
And then honestly, you know, nothing against Huberman, but sometimes I can't listen to a 2-hour episode.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I
need pictures.
I like the clips.
The clips are perfect. That's where I get it. And I'm like, oh, you got it downloaded. Or like, I'm like, can I put it in AI and get like a Clip Notes version? I think someone did it. There was some girl on TikTok.
No.
And she was like, I watched this Huberman up or I listened to the whole thing and here's the Clip Notes. I'm like, my girl.
The girlie's like simplifying everything. I love it.
Yeah. She's like, here's the notes.
I think I've played it on like 2x before and just been like, oh my God, no.
Yeah. And then you're like, wait, too many.
But he's amazing.
Yeah. He's brilliant.
You know, he's like 6 foot plus.
Is he really?
I think so.
Dang.
Someone saw him in Austin once and told me he's like really tall and like a little intimidating in person.
Yeah. He kind of looks like a security guard.
Or like a rock star kind of.
Yeah. He's got, I know, go figure it. I'm like, neuroscientist, rock star.
No, he's
Tall
such
energy.
a like juxtaposition to me.
Yeah.
But like in a really cool way.
It's people like that fascinate me.
I know.
I'm like, ooh, I can't put you in a box. This is so fun.
I know.
I don't know what we're going to get.
I know.
True. But so yes, it's Huberman's physiological sigh.
Okay.
So what it is you inhale for 4.
Mm-hmm.
You inhale again, fill your lungs, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slow exhale, audible, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you repeat.
I've done this before and it works.
It is unbelievable. So this was game changing and I started doing it at the top of my Peloton classes. And then when we get into the flat road in the middle, when I'm giving everybody a break, because a huge thing about having anxiety or anything, when you're having an emotional response, we hold our breath.
Yeah.
Because we're in fight or flight, right? We are like ready for impact. So we're waiting for the saber-toothed tiger to run out and we're like, oh my God, here we go. So we stop breathing. The coolest thing about that physiological sigh is that it acts as like a hard reset on your body. So your nervous system comes back down. You're not in fight or flight anymore. You can actively find a way just to relax in. And so I found too, I was like, wait a second, if that works for, psychosomatic, of course it's also going to work in relaxing your body. So if I'm trying to get somebody from a higher heart rate, so if they're in if people know their zones, if they're in zone 4 or zone 5, because we just came out of a really intense hit push, and then I give them this breathing technique, we're going to get them back down to zone 2 and a space where, okay, now our bodies can calm and relax. Because I also want to provide somebody a functional workout where they're not in oxidative stress the entire time, where they're not completely gassed. And then they're like, why do I feel worse after the workout than better? And it's like, no, you have to have the balance of both. And I think for so much of my fitness career and everything I've learned, we overdo it rather than understanding truly the balance is that high intensity work with proper rest, with proper relaxation, with proper sleep, with proper fuel changes everything.
I also just love that method for before a hard conversation, or if you're having a little panic attack or whatever it may be. I think it's really useful and no one can even really tell you're doing it.
Yeah.
You could just sort of turn away or go to the bathroom or something.
Yep.
And it's very effective.
It is. And that's what's great is you have that tool everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Your breath is truly your grounding force. There's that. Another thing I love to do, if you're about in a high stress meeting, or I do this for Zoom calls. I learned this. Thank you, therapist. I love to put my bag, which is usually much larger than the one I brought today and heavy. But you put your bag on top of your feet.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a weighted blanket for your feet. You can also use a weighted blanket. It creates a sensation of grounding. So when you feel really heady and really overwhelmed, or there's too much stimulus, or I feel like I'm on the verge, grounding your feet is so helpful.
Love. Yeah. Anything that brings you back into your body is so, so helpful.
Yep.
So it's time for the question I ask every guest.
Yes.
I have to say I stopped doing this for a little bit and everyone got really mad at me. I thought no one liked it, but apparently everyone's really mad. So I'm bringing it back.
Perfect.
What does wellness mean to you?
It's changed my definition of wellness.
I love
I think
that.
in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I think it changes depending on my season. And I hope it continues to change as I age, because I think it will.
Mm-hmm.
At this stage in my life, wellness means honoring my body, forgiving my brain, and walking through the world as authentically and as human as I possibly can. Yeah.
That's
think
like
that's
one
it.
of the best answers we've ever had.
Oh, thank you.
Slay. No, I love
Woo!
that.
I was like really trying to be thoughtful with it. I'm like,
No, you killed it. It's kind of a broad question and difficult to answer. And I think that was beautiful.
Well, wellness, I think a lot of people fall into this trap of thinking it's the physical or
And perfection too.
Yes. It's having, everything in a line and everything works great. And it's like, no. Wellness is messy.
Yeah.
Like it's full 360. It's okay, understanding there's good and bad mental health days. And some days you're great at doing the gratitude journal, and other days it goes by the wayside, and we're not going to shame ourselves about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also what you put in your body. It's also, how you treat other people.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of, we forget to, especially as divisive and as like biting as the world is right now, because there's a lot of fear. Having the conversation with the barista or the Uber driver that you're never going to meet again. But you know what? You're both existing in the world at this very moment. That is being well. Being well is understanding that like you see the value in somebody else's life just as much as you see yours.
Yeah.
And it's so helpful because you just feel more connected that way.
Beautiful. Kendall, where can everyone find you online?
They can find me. It's very easy now. It's my Instagram, my TikTok are at Kendall Toole. And then the podcast that I'm doing is called at Wholeheartedly Pod. And then stay tuned. There's some I can't wait. There's so much I'm announcing very soon. So we'll stay updated.
So excited. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. You're the best.
Woohoo! Thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wellness podcast. To support this show, please rate and review and share with your loved ones. If you want to be reminded of new episodes, click the subscribe button on your preferred podcast or video player. You can sign up for my newsletter to receive my favorites at marilewellen.com. It will be linked in the show notes. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson, Fiona Attucks, and Kelly Kyle. This show is edited by Mike Fry, and our video is recorded by Luis Vargas. You can also watch the full video of each episode on our YouTube channel at Mari Fitness. Love you, Power Girls and Power Boys. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team.